Go.
Hey, good afternoon, guys. Officer Bishop, Clayton Police Department. I'm sure a lot of you guys recognize me from the school. For those who don't know me, I'm the school resource officer at the intermediate school, the Clayton Elementary School, as well as Providence Creek Academy. In front of me, our videographer is Officer Hibbert, who is the school resource officer for the First State Military Academy. So welcome everybody. Thank you for coming out to this Facebook Live virtual field trip. We are extremely grateful to have you today to be able to give you a little dose of what we do on a day-to-day basis here at the Clayton Police Department and police departments as a whole. So we wanted to start outside because of the inclement weather today. For those of you who don't know where we're at, we are co-located with the Clayton Town Hall. The police department being at the westernmost portion of the building. And we are located at 414 Main Street, which is at the intersection of Smyrna Avenue and Main Street. So follow along with me. We'll go and check out one of the police vehicles. Then we will go inside and see what is indoors. Cover a couple things there. For those of you who have questions, please feel free to type them in. Officer Hibbert will give me a verbal cue, and we will try to address questions individually as they come in. All right, guys, come on.
Getting some comments. It's hard to hear, so speak up.
Okay, can you guys hear me a little bit better now? I understand there's a couple people that have difficulty hearing. It is a little bit noisy out here because of the weather. But we want to introduce you to one of our police vehicles. This is a 2018 Chevy Tahoe. The majority of our police vehicles that we utilize. We're going to go over and show you a car in a few minutes after we go through this. We just wanted to walk you guys through each portion of the vehicle to kind of show you what a typical daily patrol officer has at his disposal, because in all reality this is our office. So if we step into the car here, like every other office, we have to have a computer, technology being what it is. This computer enables us to be able to run tags, type reports, check wanted status of individuals, and pretty much anything that we need to do to perform our day-to-day police duties. I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen in my office in school, I have the same exact computer and the same capabilities as needed. So, just starting out with the car, guys, we went over the computer. We obviously have the police radio, which enables us to communicate all over the state with our dispatch center, as well as other departments as needed for any type of large mutual aid, multi-agency type response. So up here is a radar unit. Essentially that enables us to be able to check the status of people speeding. Obviously we all know the speed limit is 25 miles an hour in town. So I'm sure a lot of you guys have been home outside riding your bikes and having a good time when it's nice and warm out. So we obviously want to make sure people are abiding by the speed limit so nobody gets hit.
Camera.
All right, so moving over, if you guys can see this watch guard thing, what this is an in-car camera system. Essentially, this enables us, anytime we're out of the vehicle and the lights are activated, it enables us to record in real time interactions with citizenry, vehicle stops, any type of instance we arrive on, and obviously any arrests we make. In addition, there's also a rear-mounted camera in the vehicle that enables us to keep an eye on any suspects that we may be transporting from a scene to either our department, to Smyrna Police Department, or from the police department to court or to jail, or wherever that specific individual or person needs to go to.
What kind of education do you need to become a cop?
All right, guys, so I always tell everybody, you always want to do good in school. There isn't any particular education required for being a police officer. Obviously, you want to have good grades. A lot of people do criminal justice, but I know myself, I was a nurse in my prior life, so a couple other officers were in the military. We have one of our bosses was a Marine Corps infantryman. We've got a couple other officers who had very, very varied jobs. But the important thing is not so much the educational track you do, but the fact that you go to school, you study hard, you do your work, and you respect those around you. You respect your teachers, you treat others the way you want to be treated, and you try to lead a good and upstanding moral life. Essentially, treat people the way you would expect to be treated. Anybody else have any other questions? Like I said, spit them out. We'll answer them as they come in. So, moving on here in the vehicle, obviously we've got room for a passenger here if need be. Sometimes we will ride around with 2 officers during special type of detail jobs. Also, what we have here is part of the in-car camera system. It's the microphone. So anytime we get out of the vehicle, we have the microphone attached to our uniform. It enables us to not only have the video from the camera system, but also real-time live dialogue and communication on scene with the incident. So Officer Hibbert's going to take a step back. We're going to go over the lights real quick, if you guys can all see those. Obviously, he's going to look at those real quick. Now, everybody always loves the lights, guys. The lights, obviously, as you can all see, are quite bright. They're somewhat disorienting. Obviously, anytime we stop a vehicle or are responding to a scene, we want to make sure that we are very, very aware that people are able to see us, whether it be raining. Obviously, today it's very overcast, somewhat dark out, or especially at night. We want people to be able to see us so that they don't pull out in front of us or just not realize we're coming.
Lady said her son wants to do a ride along.
Okay, so ride-alongs. That's actually a really good question. If you come out to the police department and talk to the secretary, she should be able to give you a ride-along packet. There is an age requirement for ride-alongs. I believe it's teenage, I believe 14 and above is what our departmental policy is. So you would just need to come out to the police department, talk to the administrative assistant, Miss Letterman, and any questions that you had regarding that, you can talk to me in school. Come up to me anytime, ask me. Or, like I said, you guys see Officer Hibbert out and about, or just anybody in general. Like I said, stop by the station. We love having visitors. And talk to Miss Letterman or talk to one of the station personnel, and they'd be able to get you guys set up with the ride-along package.
Will you be able to keep them?
We do return the children at the duration of the ride-along. So other things regarding the vehicle, obviously everybody likes the sirens. So we got a couple different kinds of sirens. So we'll just go over the wail first. Again, quite loud. The purpose behind the sirens is we want to make sure that people can hear us coming. Obviously, I'm sure everybody has seen fire department responding to complaints or ambulances. The important thing we want to have is, with the lights, both a visual indicator that we're approaching, say, an intersection or an area where there's decreased visibility, as well as have the sound to be able to give people somewhat of a indication that we are approaching, or some type of emergency vehicle is approaching the scene or is approaching their direction wherever they are. So a couple other different kinds of sirens here. We've got a yelp and so just a couple different tools in our tool belt to be able to trigger drivers if for whatever reason they don't hear the first type of siren that we attempt to utilize. Anybody have any questions? Spit them out, guys. We love questions. So, moving on. Obviously, we all have to have the internet. Everybody knows technology. Like I said, the internet enables us to be able to pretty much use the computer anywhere we're at, whether it be at a residence, whether it be at the school, whether it be at the hospital, the police station, or the prison. So, like I said, it keeps us in communication with everybody that we need to be a hold of. So. All right, let me jump out and give you guys a little bit more of a tour. Mike, if you want to just come in here and poke your head in. Obviously, some more tools we have in the center console. Obviously, a flashlight to help us see at night. Help us on vehicle stops, so forth and so on. Mike, take a step back for me. What we have here. Come on back for me, Mike. So obviously what we have here, like I said, everybody's big concern is impaired driving, and it's something I specifically focus on is both drug and alcohol impairment in regards to motor vehicle usage. So this is called an toxilizer. Essentially, this is what we use at roadsides to determine breath alcohol content for somebody who's under suspicion of driving under the influence of alcohol. All officers carry a tourniquet if we were to be injured in the line of duty, whether it be a motor vehicle accident or some type of other active situation. We have a tourniquet where we can utilize to stop the bleeding. So essentially we would pull out our tourniquet, we would wrap it around, say if I had an injury to my arm, wrap it around my arm, and essentially that would cease the circulation of my arm until I could get further medical care. I'm not going to pull it out because once we pull it out and kind of use it, it's difficult to put back in the holster. So, moving around the vehicle, guys, if we take a step back here, what we have is you guys can see the large metal partition. That is called a cage. So this is obviously very sturdy. It's got a plexiglass front. So this keeps people from being able to get from the back of the seat, obviously to prevent, watch out my car coming, possibly prevent somebody from attacking an officer, from spitting on the officer, from kicking the officer while they're driving. So the cages are very nice because they keep us, that's one extra layer of security to help ensure that the officer stays safe. In addition, like I said, we can put people in the vehicle if we need to talk to them so that they can remain safe. If we want to drive them by a scene in regards to like a suspect identification, or if we want them just to be able to detach themselves from a situation, we can put them in somewhere where they feel secure and essentially try to help get them feeling safer. As you guys can see here, the windows are quite dark, almost like a limo. So we don't want people being able to see into suspects for their privacy, or as I was saying before, if we were, for example, to be doing a drive-by for a suspect identification, we wouldn't want that individual to be able to see the witness or victim in the vehicle identifying them. All right, so walking around the back here, guys. Everybody can hear me loud enough, right? All right, guys, if we take a look in the back here, we obviously see we've got a rear radar cone, which enables us to shoot radar both front and to the back, so for vehicles approaching us as well as approaching us from the rear. Just a couple other things. Obviously, you always see a lot of police officers at roadside changing tires, jump starting cars, and all that sort of stuff. So some tools we've got, a lug wrench, some jumper cables. Excuse me. We have our hat, and just a couple other assorted vehicle style issues, some extra paperwork, that kind of stuff. So another important thing we see as police, I'm sure you guys see, we respond to a lot of medical emergencies. The Clayton Police Department prides ourselves on responding to any and all in-town medical emergencies, along with our fire and EMS crews. So a couple things that we utilize, we have an AMBU bag as well as an AED, which is an automatic external defibrillator, to help people that may be suffering some type of intrinsic medical issue. Also, obviously, we all want our first aid kit. So, like I said, these are just some things that enable us to provide an additional service to our citizenry and to help them if the need were to arise. So, all right, guys. Oh, one last thing back here. So we see here, everybody's locked their keys out once or twice. I know I've done it. So what this is part of our lockjaw kit. So this enables us to help people who may have locked their keys in the vehicle, to enable us to open and unlock the door.
Good. And
to help them avoid paying a hefty locksmith fee. So, all right, Mike, why don't we go on inside and see what else there is. Shut this bad boy off here. All right, guys, follow me. Oh, just to point out real quick, guys. So here's another police vehicle. This is a Dodge Charger. I believe 2015 Dodge Charger. So there's a whole bunch of different kind of police vehicles we use. Like I said, the majority of our vehicles now are the Chevy Tahoes, which are being phased in as these Dodge Chargers go out of service. But this is an unmarked police vehicle. Like I said, some things that this would be for more of a detective. It enables us to do some kind of surveillance. a couple other things that a marked police vehicle would prohibit us from doing. But like I said, so this is just another police vehicle that is at our disposal that we have in the fleet. Come on, Mike, follow me. Alright guys, so we're approaching another Dodge Charger. We're going to take a peek into this one so you guys can see just the difference in size and just how difficult it may be in terms of getting in and getting out, because this is a much smaller office for some of us officers. So, kind of what we were looking at before, same thing. Obviously the police car got a computer, it's got the lights, but just a significantly smaller package. So I'm sure a lot of our moms and dads have work where they have lots of stuff at work. They have to bring lots of books and binders and so forth and so on. And like I said, as you can see with Officer Hibbert's car here, he's got lots of extra resource materials that he has to try to fit into his car on a day-to-day basis. So once you start adding all extra stuff, and these cars get quite small, especially for somebody of my my size. So follow me inside the building, guys. All right, guys. So we're walking up to the building here. This is the front of our police department. Obviously, this is the Main Street side. You guys can all see the masks and all the COVID-19 things I know we're all having to endure. And that was one thing I wanted to point out before. Obviously, I'm not wearing a mask now. We would be if we were interacting with the public, but I don't want people being able to not understand me when I talk. Hey Lisa, how are you? I see we've had lots of questions so far. I know there's lots more. Guys, this is the opportunity to ask questions. Like I said, you guys are here in the thick with us today. This is your experience. Ask whatever questions you want. If we can answer them, we will answer them. If we can't answer them, I'll get with you individually and we'll get an answer for you. So follow me inside. All right. Why don't you go in first, Mike? All right, guys, so this is the lobby of our police department. Obviously, anytime you have a complaint, here, Mike, why don't you show them the lobby? You can come in here and you can file a complaint, or you can actually physically call the station. Obviously, for any emergencies, we want people utilizing 911 because it gets you with a dispatch center right away. And it's a little bit quicker of a solution. So 911 is the way to go, guys, in an emergency, all right? So if we walk in here, guys, let me introduce you to Chris Letterman. This is our administrative assistant. Chris is the one that, she's the oil that keeps the wheels turning in the office. So she's responsible for helping us with paperwork, with reports, with making sure all of our training certifications are completed, calling us when people call the station. So this is our #1 guy. So, all right, if you guys want to say hi to Chris. So, obviously, like I said, you know, so like everything else, you know, we are a big team. We are, you know, I can't do my job, Mike can't do his job, all our other officers can't do our job without help from our partners. Because just like in school, you know, we've got multiple different teachers, we've got multiple different staff, but everybody together as a team makes the job easy and able to be done. All right, so we're gonna let Miss Chris go. She's busy. So if you guys follow me along here, to my left, we have one question.
Are police cars able to go faster than regular cars?
Okay, so the question that we had is, are police cars able to go faster than regular cars? In certain situations, yes. Obviously, for emergencies, we want to be able to get there as quick as possible to prevent life, limb, or the loss of property, or obviously to stop the situation from further deteriorating. However, like any other vehicle on the road, we would like if our police cars in normal day-to-day operation drove at the posted speed limit, utilized turn signals, and more so specifically followed the rules of the road so that they don't create motor vehicle accidents.
What's it like when you have 2 officers to a car? Where are you going to put all that extra equipment?
Okay, so when we have 2 officers to a car, yes, that's a very, very good question. It becomes a very, very close relationship. We typically, in this department, like I said, we primarily ride single officer to a vehicle. As I'm sure you guys saw me getting out of the cars, it's quite small, and that's just for one of us. Imagine two of us with two gun belts and two of everything. It becomes significantly smaller.
What's the fastest you've went?
Okay, what is the fastest I've gone? So our Dodge Chargers are quite quick. I can tell you I've easily done more than 100 miles an hour on multiple occasions, responding to emergencies. So obviously, like I said, they're police cars. It's like anything else. We can't take them out and just have fun with them. We have to use them for the rules of the department. And obviously, like I said, the rules of the road. So if you guys looking, anybody have any other questions? If you look in here to the right, actually straight in front of you, this is our interview room. So essentially what we utilize this for is speaking to victims, speaking to witnesses, and interviewing suspects anytime any type of crime would occur. So this is a safe place if somebody didn't feel comfortable speaking out at, say, their residence or speaking out at the roadside. We can bring them back here and we can speak to them where it's a warm, inviting, and just overall safe space. So, in addition, like you guys see here, we've got a double-sided glass. If we had suspects in here that we didn't want them being able to see out, or if we were doing any type of interview or interrogation technique. So follow me in, guys, to the rest of the station. So we have the other officer, Bishop, who actually happens to be my father. He's busy at work with the report. Obviously, well, like anything else, there's lots of paperwork. Police department, being a police officer is, you can get back to work, Dad. Being a police officer, pan to me, Mike. Oh, we have another question.
Yeah, thanks. We're aware.
Okay, so I'm glad everybody's having a good time. Who else has questions? I want questions, guys. So what we have here, this is our...
Yeah, if there's like 1,500, you're going to get one out.
Dad, do you mind turning it down so we can, because I'm not having the screen. It's up there. All right, guys, let me turn the rain radio down so you can hear me, because it's loud in here with the station radio. So if the mic wants to pan, this is essentially our workspace. So this is where we do all the bulk of our work with report writing and stuff. So Mike's going to pan to that real quick. I just want to make sure we can turn down those radios so you guys can hear me, because I'm already kind of screaming. So, all right, guys. So Mike, if you want to take a step back, let me just show you guys kind of some of the tools we utilize on a day-to-day basis. So I'm sure everybody has seen our body cameras. So what this is our body camera substation. Our body camera substation. So essentially, kind of like an in-car camera system, this enables us, the individual officer, to wear a camera on their shirt. Let me take a step back, Mike. So, for example, if I was wearing a uniform shirt, it would be on my shirt. So anytime actually, let's have the Officer Bishop take it on his shirt. So anytime we responded to a call, he would activate his body camera, and it essentially would record the entire interaction. So, and that's for multiple reasons. That makes sure that we, as a police department, are treating people right, and that when people have complaints or allegations that we mistreated them, it also serves as a protective measure for the officer. So, all right, guys, let's go up and see where everybody's located. If you guys follow me, you see to the right here is individual officer lockers. Just one more thing that we have at our disposal to enable us to store some of our equipment. So, we walk upstairs here. What we have to our left here is more paperwork. There's lots of paperwork to being a police officer. As I was saying before to everybody, it's not just cops and robbers, shoot 'em up, bang, bang, as you see on TV. It's about 90% paperwork and about 10% action. So, hold that for a second. Okay. Okay, so Stacy asked, do we get to take our car home? Yes, so we as a police department have the ability to take our car home, park it in the driveway, drive it back and forth every day, take it to court, so forth and so on. So what that enables us to do is, you know, it's like anything else. We have to maintain our cars, make sure my car is washed, make sure my equipment is how I want it to be utilized, make sure it's vacuumed, that it's clean, that my computer is fully charged, so forth and so on. So by us taking our vehicles home, it enables us to obviously be able to come back and forth to work quicker. We can get dressed at home. Obviously, once our tour of duty is done, we can go home and we're already in the vehicle. So,
What are the toys for?
okay, so actually that's one thing I wanted to bring up. So the toys are for, we as a police department have a program called Call It Being Good. So essentially what that is individual officers out on patrol see instances of children being good, people wearing bicycle helmets, people interacting in a positive way. You know, maybe some kind of gesture of one friend to another. Essentially what we do is we give out tokens, and what that token enables you to do is come to the police department and exchange your token for one of these assorted toys, books, or other, I guess there's also a few shirts that are left over still. So,
Why the different uniforms?
okay, so why the different uniforms? So, obviously, I always tell everybody, there's like anything, there's multiple uniforms for different jobs. So, I know you guys saw the older officer bishop is wearing the traditional patrol uniform. And then you guys have seen me in the school probably either wearing the gray over khaki or the sweatshirt style pullover. So the different uniforms, obviously, we want patrol officers wearing a patrol uniform because it's readily identifiable. People recognize the badge, the radio, the actual police uniform. Although police uniforms may be different colors, they may have different styles. For the most part, most people recognize police uniforms for what they are and know that if somebody's wearing that style of uniform that they're probably a police officer. Obviously the gun belt, so forth and so on. In regards to the school, I tell everybody, you know, I wear this more, I don't want to say a toned down uniform, but it's, I guess, more of a business casual style uniform because I want people to be able to feel like I'm approachable. If you guys are having issues, I want you to be able to come talk to me. Sometimes people can be scared of police officers. Sometimes people have had a negative interaction with a police officer for whatever reason. However, like I said, the khakis and polo style shirt, I find, enables me to be able to interact more on a personal basis with people. It's less, I'm at a loss of words for what I want to say, but I guess essentially it makes me more approachable. It gives me off more of a friendly demeanor, and I'd like to think that it enables people to come sit down and talk to me and interact with me on a face-to-face level without being scared of a uniform per se. So while I'm pointing that out too, like I said, I wanted to point out to you guys, whether I'm wearing this uniform in the school and you guys need to talk to me, or whether, you know, the other officer, Bishop Officer Hibbert, is wearing his patrol uniform, you can always come talk to us. We are 100% able. We'll sit down, we'll listen, whatever the concern is. Like I said, your police department are your friends. Your police department are there for you if there's an issue. And like I tell everybody at school, I don't know everything. I would love to say I do, but if I don't have the answer, or they don't have the answer, or they don't know the answer, they will get you somebody that knows or get you pointed in the right direction. So I want to make sure I covered that too. One question.
Logan wants to know how long you've been a police officer.
Okay, so I've been a police officer for about 11 years. I was actually with another department prior to this department, and I've been here almost 8 years. So that's my story. In regards to other officers, we've got other officers who've been here their whole career, and other officers who have come here from after status retirement, or just transitioning from one department to another. All right, guys, so following me around here, we have here's our lieutenant's desk. He was busy working on policies while we were outside, and it seems like he stepped away for a few minutes. Okay. So if we follow it along here, the last kind of office area would be our chief's office, which is up here to my left. I'm sorry, my right. So this is the chief's office. So how are those questions, guys? All right, follow me. All right, guys. So what we have here is, with everything else, we have our evidence lockers. So essentially, these enable us to put. They're mostly all full of evidence, which is why they're all locked. But they enable us to store any type of evidence we encounter during the course of an investigation. Drug evidence, any type of firearms, any type of weapons or so forth and so on that would go into here, and it would be processed into the evidence system. All right, guys, so follow me around here. What we have here is a detainee bench. Essentially, this enables us to bring somebody back here to our police department and to put them on the bench here. Somebody who is more violent or outwardly exhibiting behavioral issues, we would most likely take them to Smyrna Police Department because they have more of a traditional cell-style environment where you can actually physically put somebody in an actual holding cell. A little bit more secure of an area. excuse me, I think we have a question.
Are any of our officers on quarantine?
Okay, so, excuse me. Somebody asked, are any of our officers on quarantine? No. So, like anything else, you know, like we try to encourage, we wear our masks when we're interacting with the public. Frequent hand washing is essential. So I tell everybody, with everything going on with the quarantine now, it's our individual responsibility to keep ourselves safe and to keep other people safe. So obviously, like to make sure we're washing our hands, make sure we're wearing our masks, and make sure that we're respecting and appreciating the social distancing guidelines. All right, and listening to your parents when they tell you that too. All right, guys. So follow me around here. What we have here is called a live scan machine. It's actually off right now. But what this enables us to do is to take pictures and to take fingerprints of somebody during the process of an arrest. So not all arrests require fingerprints and photographs, but the large majority of them do. Essentially, this is the latest and greatest digital technology that enables us to just essentially take digital photography as well as digital prints of somebody during the course of their arrest processing. So one thing I want to point out to you guys here too, and this is something that we recently were able to get, is camera system around town. So we can essentially monitor everywhere in town is covered by camera system. So if you're going to go out and cause havoc, it will be on camera. I know none of you will, but this is one more tool that we have at our disposal to enable us to keep the town safe, to keep an eye on things, and to kind of see what's going on a large scale town level kind of venue if we're back at the station and busy with something. So moving along, guys.
You might want to tell them how they can record, like the guy that shot the windows out of them.
Yes, so that's one other important thing too. So in addition to being able to view this in real time, the camera system also records. So we can go back, for example, if we're at another complaint and some type of incident occurs, we can go back and we can view it, and there's a digital record of it, and we can watch what transpired. So, okay, we have a question. Okay, so this is essentially another camera system. Everybody knows everything is recorded today. This is another camera system. So this essentially is the camera system that covers our station. That way we can make sure that people are not committing to any type of criminal mischief or so forth and so on to the police vehicles and or police station while we're inside. So I know everybody's gonna ask me, what is this giant washer box with the figure on it? So what we're gonna do once we're done inside, we're gonna go out and we're gonna see a car stop in action, and then we're gonna do a couple other things, including a taser demonstration. So I know everybody always asks me at school, the first question I get is, how many people have you shot, which is 0, and I would like to hope that it stays that way. That would, however, we all have, majority of us have utilized our tasers with violent suspect or suspects. So I want you guys to all kind of see that, because everybody always asks me. So obviously, like I said, the inside we've got a couple computer workstations. These essentially are just extensions of the car. Same exact setup. Essentially enables us to type reports, do warrants as need be for any type of arrests, and essentially do any type of our station-specific training. All right, so panning around here, guys. Let's go over some of the equipment. You guys feel free to ask questions. I love questions, guys. So, as I said before, 90% of police work is paperwork. Lots of paperwork. More paperwork. More paperwork. It never ends. So, unfortunately, it's part of the job. That's how we got to do it. But like I said, this is kind of the way we manage our paperwork in the department here. So, and this is small. This is this is literally like a day worth of paperwork. As you guys can see, it's quite extensive. Obviously, it's a never-ending saga with paperwork, like everything else. So, follow me around here. Okay, can you guys see me? So, I know we're gonna have lots of questions with this. So, I know we covered the camera system before. What I want to do is I wanted to cover the gun belt and some of the equipment that we utilize. So, obviously, every police officer wears a gun belt for the most part. Lots of different stuff on it, lots of different equipment, lots of different ways to carry it. But the basic equipment on the police gun belt, obviously we've got a magazine pouch, we have a taser, and we'll pull it out and show you guys how that works when we go outside and do the live demonstration with the cardboard box. We're not going to use a person. and we've got caps, OC spray, a radio holder, and obviously a handgun. Police radio, which keeps us in communication with everybody as well. And everybody always wants to see handcuffs, so we've got a couple different kinds of handcuffs here. We've got traditional handcuffs as well as hinge handcuffs. Last but not least, body armor. So everybody, we all want to be wearing our body armor when we are out. So essentially, body armor. This is made of Kevlar. Essentially, it covers the back and the front, so in the chest there, to keep us safe if we were to be shot, stabbed, or suffer any type of blunt force trauma. So obviously, we all want to make sure we're in our body armor. Somebody just sent a question: is there anybody ever on desk duty? Yes. So we have somebody in the office all day long. If you guys want to stop in and say hi or visit or wave. Or if you just need to call and file a complaint or ask a question. So, obviously, like I was saying before, any type of emergency, we want to dial 911 because that goes to the dispatch center. But there is somebody physically here. Miss Chris is always here. Other officers may be at court or answering complaints or essentially whatever we're called to do. Like I said, the role of a police officer is very, very diverse. Like I said, we may be at a medical call 1 minute, we may be helping jumpstart a car or changing a tire at the next, and next we may be at some type of shoplifting or other type of property related or relationship style crime. So I know we have a couple questions about some gear on the duty belt. So just to cover with the taser, I know everybody asks about the taser. So this is the taser we typically utilize. It has a primary cartridge as well as a backup cartridge. And you guys will go out there and see it in action. But essentially what the taser is for is the taser is an electrically conductive device. Essentially enables us to contain or it's an assistive tool to help us effect an arrest for a violent or a non-conforming suspect. Obviously magazines are extra magazines for the handgun. And then this is pepper spray. So OC spray is pepper spray. Essentially, it's a chili powder style composition. It's called capsaicin. Essentially, when utilized, it causes a very, very distinctive, painful burn to the face, mouth, and mucous membranes. So we don't like to use it because unfortunately everybody normally gets sprayed when we spray it. So, but that's just one more, like I said, tool that we have at our disposal to enable us to be able to safely contain a sometimes violent suspect or suspects. So, all right, let's go outside and see if we can get this car stop going. Let me take a look. So, here we see a typical car stop here. So follow me along, Mike. So what we're going to do is we're going to walk up to the car. We're going to view a typical interaction with the driver and an officer. We're going to watch the officer speak to the driver, advise her he wants him to show her his hands, provide her vehicle paperwork, at which point he'll come back to his vehicle and he'll run the paperwork for a couple different reasons. Number one, to make sure she has valid insurance. He wants to make sure that her license is valid, she has no warrants, and obviously she's supposed to be driving the vehicle, and it is in fact her vehicle. So if you guys want to follow up here with the other older officer should do his thing. If you want to walk up and show us real quick. So as you guys can see, obviously we want to approach the vehicle in a cautious manner. There's still cars at roadside driving by us. We're going to check the rear of the vehicle. We're going to contact the driver. So this driver actually already provided her paperwork, so the other officer would ask her what he would look for.
The reason I stopped you, ma'am, is you were speeding on this road at 25. You were doing 50. Are you in a hurry today? Late for what? Okay. Well, unfortunately, there's a speed limit of 25, so I am going to give you a traffic ticket. So if you just stay in your car, keep your hands on the steering wheel, right? Anybody else? your car, please.
So the important thing, guys, obviously, if you were to be stopped for whatever, is make sure you're listening to the officer. He doesn't know who he might be interacting with or who might be in the vehicle. So we want to make sure that we're listening to what the officer has to say and following his commands as he gives them. So here we'll see traditional officer obviously will be running the registration, the insurance paperwork, so forth and so on. We're going to simulate it because it looks like everything got signed out here. So we're just going to simulate that this paperwork was ran and that this driver has a warrant. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the driver, Miss Letterman, into custody, and we're going to walk her into the station, and we're going to put her on the bench. So what we want you guys to see is the typical process of a suspect being handcuffed. We're going to skip her going in the back of the vehicle, and we're just going to walk her back into the station directly. So if you want to show that. So the important thing, guys, too, with everything is that we're wanting to ensure that we speak clearly to the suspect, that when you're approached by an officer, that you're listening to their commands. We don't want you fidgeting. We don't want you jumping around. We don't want you anticipating what we're asking you to do. We will tell you what we want. And that is for your safety as well as our safety. So.
Ma'am, would you shut your car off, please? I need to talk to you. Would you shut your car off, please? No, leave it down. Okay, I need you to step out of the car.
So essentially we want to be very, very clear with the driver. We want to tell them what we want.
Keep your hands right to you.
We want to explain what we're doing.
Okay, come around here.
Miss Letterman could be armed. She may not be armed. We don't know. So obviously we're going to pat her. We would pat her down. We would detain her, obviously, because she has active warrants for her arrest. And then we would place her back in the rear of the patrol vehicle.
Do you have any weapons on you? Okay, I'm going to gently pat you at the waist. Make sure you don't have any weapons. On your armpits down here. Up in your legs. Your ankles. No ankle holster.
Okay, so we would walk her in the building now. So he's going to walk her in the building. Anybody have questions? We want this to be as involved as you guys want. Ask your questions. There's no silly questions.
What's in your phone call?
So, as with anything, even though Miss Lerman is under arrest, we still want to be respectful of her. We want to advise her what we're doing. Because it's good. Obviously, she's quite emotional. She's quite alarmed. She's obviously quite scared. So, like I said, we want to make sure that we're continuing to give her verbal commands and to ensure that she's following them. So, once we get back to the station, Miss Letterman would be placed on the bench and handcuffed to the bench, not only for her security, but for the safety of the officer.
Okay, I'm going to take these handcuffs off. When I take them off, keep your hands behind your back until I tell you to do otherwise. Understand?
Yes, sir.
Keep your hands behind your back. You're going to be a little bit twist here.
Yeah, no. So I just need you to sign as applicant.
Well, they weren't too
right there
tight.
at the top.
Okay.
So we want to keep explaining to the individual what we're doing to make sure that we're communicating what we want them to
On the
do,
bench, please.
both verbally and then obviously with showing them. So we would be placing her on the bench at this point.
Give me your right hand.
And obviously, like I said, we're telling her what we want her to do. We want it to be very clear and so that she's aware of what we're asking her to just essentially gain compliance. So she would be handcuffed to the bench, and then that would be, the officer would then go about their typical paperwork and or arrest processing based on whatever the crime that had occurred or whatever the warrant paperwork is. If you guys want to run undo her and then run out the outdoor thing, and we'll get that started. So if you guys want to take a look down here at, if you want to pan down, Mike. So what we have here is a set of spike strips. You guys have all seen these on TV. Essentially what these are is it's a pursuit intervention tool that enables us to stop vehicles that are fleeing. So how this typically works is we throw stop sticks across the road, and we would yank them back in the path of the fleeing vehicle in an effort to deflate the tires. So inside of each of these triangular style plastic devices are spikes, essentially, that have a hole in the top and a hole in the bottom. And essentially what they do is they enable the vehicle tire to be deflated and essentially aid in the termination of the pursuit by stopping the vehicle. So,
Do you have a PAL program?
do we have a what? I'm sorry, guys.
A PAL program.
Okay, do we have a PAL program? So I know the Clayton Police Department does not have a police athletic league program. The Smyrna Police Department, I believe, at one point did. And I believe now, if my memory serves me correct, it is something that's affiliated with the Boys and Girls Club. But if you guys want to go up there or give the Smyrna Police Department a call, they have more information as to that because, excuse me, that was originally their program. So, all right, guys, if you want to follow me outside here, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and go over the taser portion of the event. So, just follow me outside. No, it's fine. So, yeah, once you grab them, then we'll do it. So, what we're going to do, guys, we're going to show you a taser demonstration. And after that, the other officer, Bishop, is going to show you guys how we would deploy the stop sticks. So I wanted you guys to see what they were, kind of explain what their purpose is, but then also for you guys to be able to see a demonstration because a lot of times everybody's going to have questions. I want to make sure everybody sees just exactly what they do. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to simulate a live person. So this target is an approximate height of a traditional
A
person.
little bit closer. A little bit closer.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what we want to do, obviously, like I was saying before, a taser is an electrically conductive weapon. What this is utilized for is to either effect an arrest or to prevent a subject from fleeing or fighting. Essentially, just for that, not only for their safety, but for the safety of the officer. So, obviously, there, as you guys can see, is a little red laser. Essentially, it's an aiming point. So this taser cartridge obviously comes on and off, has a 25-foot reach. So, what we would do, for example, if I had a non-compliant subject that I had gone hands-on with, they were still resisting, they pushed away or tried to flee, what we would do is we would pull out our taser. Obviously, like I said, the red light is a visual indicator as to where the taser prongs are going to be deployed to. So the important thing with the taser, what we want to make sure that we're making aware of, especially if there's more than one officer on scene, is that we're saying taser, taser, taser. The taser emits a loud, sharp sound, similar in characteristics to a gunshot. So, for example, if I had two officers on scene, I was trying to effect an arrest, somebody turned to push away and try to flee, I don't want the other officer thinking that this person is shooting at us, which is why we would utilize the taser, taser, taser verbalization. So what we would do is we point the taser at the person, we would say taser, 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 we would squeeze the trigger. So, and essentially they would get a 5-second burst of electrical energy. So if you guys see here, we've got, I'm gonna pull this off so it doesn't get me again. We have the taser cartridge, and what you have is copper wires. Essentially, these are what the wires that conduct the energy for the taser device. You see the prongs here and here. It's about a 2-foot span based on where we were. So these prongs are what make contact and will essentially give this person a electrical charge through their, in this person, their midsection abdominal area, essentially which the hope being would incapacitate them, and either they would stop fleeing and or they would just give up and would be able to be taken into custody for the arrest.
Do the drive stun.
Okay, so also there's another thing with the taser. We can also do what's called a drive stun. So essentially, it's a so this is a for example, like if I'm fighting with somebody on the ground and I'm not far enough away where I'm able to effectively utilize my taser to ensure an adequate coverage, we can do what's called a drive stun, where essentially we can do the same thing but as a physical contact. So
I think you see the sparks here.
yeah, so you guys, if you guys want to see it, you can see that there's the electrical sparks here that go from one end to the other of the device. So essentially, same concept, electrical current when contacted with the human body essentially would provide a shock and, like I said, to affect either stopping them resisting and to gain compliance. So if you guys want to pan over, we're almost done with our presentation here. We want to make sure there's no cars coming, but the patrol here is going to demonstrate the deployment of the stop sticks. So this is, like we were saying before, is utilized in a pursuit style capacity. The officer would stand at the roadside. Obviously, if we're assuming the pursuing vehicle is approaching us down this road, we're going to simulate that. Obviously, as the vehicle approaches, the officer would deploy the stop sticks, and then he would quickly get back as a safety thing, and so he would not be struck by the vehicle, and then would pull the stop sticks to try to deflate all the vehicle's tires as the vehicle drove over. So if you want to wrap that up, so I think we've got a couple of cars that are trying to come down here. I wanted to ask, does anybody have any other questions? I know we've been doing this for about 45 minutes, guys. We've had a lot of really good questions. We've had a lot of really good interaction. I know a lot of people have commented and said hi. So, like I said, I want, number one, to thank everybody for coming out today for this virtual field trip. We hope it was entertaining. We hope it was informative. And first and last but not least, we hope it was educational. I see we have a couple more questions.
Can you reuse the stop sticks?
Okay, so can we reuse the stop sticks was the question that was asked. Yes and no. So the stop sticks, as I was showing you guys, have 3 individual segmented sections which are interconnected by like a nylon strap. For example, if 2 of the sections were ran over, you would not be able to utilize those 2 sections. I believe we typically, as a whole, just send the entire piece of equipment back and they replace it through the company. But in theory, if for example, you had to use it more than once in the same incident with multiple vehicles, you could still theoretically use it. But it's not typically like with anything else. When there's some type of incident, especially with like stop sticks, we would want to make sure that we just replace it just for everybody's safety for the next time the device would have to be utilized. So continuing on, we're going to, I think, begin our conclusion. Does anybody have any lasting questions? Anything I can do for you guys? Well, like I said, both myself, Officer Hibbert, the entire Clayton Police Department in the town, thank you for stopping by today. We thank you for your time. We appreciate your interest, and like I said, I want to make sure you guys are studying hard, working on your Zoom meetings, listening to your teachers, and I very much anticipate seeing you guys again in September. So thank you again, guys.